with us. Oh, we're talking about building out a website, essential content and tactics. If you're not familiar with us already, we're Taste the Local Difference. We're a marketing agency specializing in effective digital strategies for food and farm businesses. And we websites is one of the huge things we do, and we love doing either setting them up, refreshing them, or adding e-commerce to folks' websites is something we really are passionate about. I'm Emily Rao. I am in Southeast Michigan. A little background is I studied at Michigan State University, where I found a love of food systems. I worked on a farm there as well as a farm in Texas in Waco, which led me to a farm in Virginia, which led me back to Michigan. And now I get to do less on farm, but still directly working with farmers and food businesses, which has been amazing. And I've been here since 2021, and I'm the Director of Communications. Now I'll pass it to Christina.
Hi everyone, I'm Christina Marbury. My background is really a blend of food systems and marketing, which is perfect for TLD. I've managed farmers markets and taught cooking and garden education. I used to work for a business that ran local food focused school fundraisers, all sorts of things. I've also worked on farms and in restaurants and such as well. My marketing background really, I think, came to life from working for organizations who needed help with communications, and I always ended up being the person in those shoes. And then eventually I started working for a digital marketing agency that served more like national brands and really learned a lot about marketing through that process. And I'm so happy to be back here at TLD for 4+, coming up really quick on 5 years. Um, Bringing all of that marketing knowledge to the local food world. So we're chatting websites. So we're just going to dig right in and get right into the nitty gritty of it. So as we think about, what a website is, what a website can do for your business, I think it's really great to start by thinking about what makes a really good website. So, what can a good website do for you? It can provide a really great user experience. UX is a term that often gets thrown around in the digital marketing website world. Um, and a good website will make it really easy for a user to find what they're looking for. The site will load quickly. It'll look nice on a mobile device. And, really no matter how somebody is getting to your website, they'll be able to find the information that they need if you have good user experience. It builds credibility and trust. I think we occasionally hear from folks like, why do I need a website? I have a Facebook page. But in this day and age, most people, if they're searching for a business, if you're, an established business, not just, a side project or something, they're looking for a website to really give them the background information on the business and give credibility to the fact that you're out there and you're doing your thing. And that's sort of just an expectation. It's kind of like your digital storefront, especially as more and more businesses don't have an actual physical storefront for people to visit. So you can build that credibility and trust by having a professional design, something that's clean and easy to navigate, providing up-to-date information, making sure that you don't have, something about a CSA season that is since finished still up on your website. You can provide testimonials, so examples from other customers of what they love about your products. Having secure browsing, so having it be an HTTPS instead of an HTTP website is really valuable, especially now. Google, at least Google Chrome and some of the other platforms as well, when you go to a website that's not secure, you get a warning that's like, do you want to proceed? And makes it so people are going to not want to go to your website because it seems like something bad might happen. And really, it just creates a positive impression and instills confidence in folks that you're a legit business and, they can trust supporting you. And then finally, it encourages action. So a lot of these other things are like how it's set up, making sure you're out there giving your presence. But really, what your website should do is encourage people to take whatever action you want them to take. That could be placing an order online for delivery. It could be joining your CSA. It could be coming to see you at the farmer's market because that's your main sales outlet. It could be, finding your product on retail stores in the places that it is for sale. So making sure it could be contacting you. Just like we want people to reach out and connect with us. You want to make sure when you build a website, you have a goal. It could be a few things of actions you want users to take and make sure that you design your website accordingly. So it's really easy for them to take those steps. Um, awesome. I'm going to click on to the next slide.
So while the website in general is sort of like your digital storefront, as Christina mentioned, this is what people see when they walk in your door of your shop is your homepage. It's the first thing that comes up. It's a gateway to your business, you could say. It's a first impression. So you want people to collect all the information that they need right away. With the first glance to your website. And then you build out other sections, other pages, and have more details. But this is sort of the catch-all. So the key elements, clear headline and subheading, and something Christina likes to mention for sure is like including where you're located and where you serve. If it's specific, is really important because we want folks to know like if they're especially for like CSA farms or farmers markets, um, people who want to order, we want to make sure that or they know where they're going to get their stuff. They're not going to be able to join a CSA in Traverse City if they live in Detroit, unless they're willing to commute very far every week. This example here is a farm in the UP of Michigan. You can see right from the bat, their name. They're a small scale market farm. They're in the Keweenaw, and they grow culinary foods for markets, chefs, and community members. And then if you were to scroll more, they say get to know us, and I think contact. They do, I believe, have a CSI. Maybe they don't have a CSA, but there would be all that information provided. You also want eye-catching visuals, so things to grab the attention visually, like great photos is really what we recommend. Is if you're going to have a website, invest in a good photo shoot. Or if you know someone who's amazing at taking photos, great. Otherwise, a photo shoot is a great place to start because not only would you use them here on your homepage throughout the website, but on social and email and all of those things. Making sure there are call to actions. So CTAs on this homepage specifically, and you want it to lead into other pages. So like learning more about our growing practices or contact us or sign up now or shop now are all really relevant calls to action. But whatever we would say like prioritize, like whatever you want people to do the most, put towards the top of your page. Another thing on your homepage, and it will be throughout um, the whole website, but having a clear navigation menu. I've been to sites that of businesses I really love, but they've got like 20 things in the navigation, not really separated out, not really organized, and it's really hard to find information. And that's calling back to the user experience that Christina was talking about. Is if it's hard to find, likely people will give up unless they're super committed. And then it's a bummer for those who are excited about your stuff because it might take a while to find. Um, and then trust indicators. So that's like certifications, awards, partnerships, testimonials, just different ways to say either you're connected or it shows like your commitments or your things that are important to you or how people feel about you. So yeah, that first impression goes a long way.
I think your homepage is your like most important piece of content on your website. It should be like the full overarching image of who you are. So we're going to dive into some of the other pages. These are the like most common pages that we recommend people have on a website and some of the details that should be included there. Um, so moving on to the about page, I like to think of an about page as like digging deeper into who you are as a business. That can include who your team is, but it really helps to build trust by sharing your story and sharing your values. Um, I always get frustrated when I go to a business's website and they don't have an about page. And usually, it's often like an e-commerce site where their whole site is mostly focused on selling products. And to me, that says there's nothing very special about us that we wanted to share it with you. And it makes me not want to support the business nearly as much. So your about page really stands to share that story, which, should come through on the homepage a little bit, but really dig deeper into it. So you can include, your mission and vision. If you have like an identified mission and vision statement, this is the perfect place to put it. It can include some ways that people can feel connected to the people on your team, whether that's just you as a sole business owner or members of your family who help out with the business, or if you have a staff, giving an introduction to some of your staff members. I think it can be particularly valuable to include staff members. If you're a business that sells at the farmers market and you, as the business owner, don't go to the farmers market always, having those people who are your representatives at the farmers market. So if someone checks out your website and then goes to look for you at the market, they see that person and recognize them from seeing them on your site. Um, this is another great place to include social proof, so awards, testimonials, things like that can go on the homepage. They can go on this page. Some people will put, if they have a lot of certifications, they'll put them in the footer of their website so that they appear on every single page, which can be a nice way to do it as well. Um, and also, I think sometimes on an about page, kind of a timeline of milestones, especially if you're a business that's been around for 5, 10, or more years, to kind of tell the story of how you started and where you've gone from there. Especially, I've seen some really great ones that are like starting with, selling at the farmer's market or selling just to friends and family who've asked for this product that you make and they really love, and then growing, to retail stores or a brick and mortar location or whatever it might be.
We also we also
Oh,
work with a lot of, I would feel like, third generation farms, and that's a lot of time to pass and lots of cool things to happen.
yeah, I love when we work with those types of businesses. I love to include like old farm photos from, what it was like on the property when their family first moved there, if possible, and things like that. And then a CTA, every page on your website should have a call to action. That's one of the big things that helps people take that action that you want and also navigate through your site. Um, so on an about page, that might be connect with us, taking people to a contact page. You can also drop a form right on your about page or your contact information there. It could be learn more, taking people from this to your products or something like that. And it could also be, yeah, explore our offerings. I guess that would take you to your products. Learn more could be like your growing practices or, some other detailed information about your business.
And then I have one more thing just about the about. So I included this photo of Gateway Farms. Their about page is not like a single about page. They've got it categorized into like their farm, the collaboration staff, jobs and volunteering. And I think that's also important to recognize, like there could be a lot of things that fit under the category about, and that's totally fine. So instead of doing one huge page, you can separate it into pages based on sort of like clumped large information sections.
Yeah, that's a great point. Definitely, like the more complex your business is, or the more moving pieces there are, people involved, the more it might be helpful to have this sort of detailed section, an about section, instead of an about page, and use like that drop down menu.
Product and services pages. So if you have an option to buy online, this page is obviously going to be the showcase, your store shelves of things that you offer. So the key elements for these pages, um, you have to remember people are not able to pick up and see these items. So high quality photos are essential. You want people to know exactly what they're going to get, if as much as you can. So like if it's like a market card or you're pre-ordering for a market, have a great picture of what it typically looks like, or a CSA box typically looks like, or your radishes. Um, they will understand that that's not maybe exactly what it will look like. But for things like cheese or packaged goods or value added, you have a product that you can display. So getting also consistency in those high quality images so that it's a cohesive scroll for the user is really important. Making sure titles are descriptive as well as the descriptions of the product. So there is some distinguishing going on between products, even if they are similar. Um, Again, meeting that expectation of for people to know what they expect. And you can include how things are made or anything unique details about it. Um, Pricing and options, and also where to find your products. It might different stores set up like online stores can look a little different. So some might just be listed products. Sometimes a products and services page, you might have more like chances to add copy. So maybe like where to find your products, and making sure people know how to buy. So if it's not just online, and you don't have this e-commerce section, or even if you do, making sure that people know where and how to buy is very important. And the shop now in the navigation is actually something we really recommend. If you have any online shopping, making sure that option is always available, and making sure folks can add to cart, or if it's a service or something, requesting a quote. Um, so again, this is information that kind of could live in separate places, but they are all product or services pages. I feel like that might have been a little confusing of a description. Christina, is there a way, like, is there something I missed here that feels like you could explain that?
Um, I think the biggest thing is just that a product page doesn't have to be an online store.
Yeah.
A lot of what Emily said is super relevant if you have an online store, what you want to put in those products and descriptions and photos and all that good stuff. But if you don't have an online store, we like to build a products page that outlines what your business sells. Of course, like if you're a diversified veg farm, you might not list every single produce item that you grow, but you're sharing, what are the commonalities? Like, do you grow unique varieties or do you focus on things that are, really like easy to use for institutional processing or whatever it might be? Similarly, if you're like a meat producer, you could just list the types of animals that you raise, not every single cut that you have. But so even if you don't have an online store, you should still have a page that clearly identifies what products you sell, how you sell them, if it's a CSA or farmers market or retail stores or a farm stand or whatever it might be. And then I often build separately. You can do it together separately, but a products page and also like a where to buy our products as well. So that could list if you do wholesaling, all of the places that you wholesale to. If you go to farmers markets, the farmers markets you attend, really giving people a clear, like, I want to buy something from your business. Here's all the ways to do it. So that it makes it easy for them to support you. Awesome. The next one is just a contact page. Every website should have a contact page or the contact information in the footer at the very least. You want to make it easy for customers to contact you. And I think that this is, again, when you're thinking about local food businesses, local businesses in general, people want to support your business because they want to know there's a human behind the business they're supporting and that it's like a small entity that they can reach out to and they're not just going to get in like a giant customer service loophole. So you don't necessarily have to put your phone number and your email address on your website if you don't want to. You can use a contact form. I like to sometimes give people like a hey, we really want you to reach out. Like, if you have a question or if you just want to give us feedback, give them like some reasoning. I think this Norman's Gourmet Garlic example is a nice one. They say, you know, our customers are our top priority. We're always happy to help. Submit this form or give us a call to get in touch. So you can include a form as a way to get in touch. Um, you could also include an email address, a phone number, your social accounts. That's a nice thing to include on your contact page so people can find you on social as well. You can also put those in the footer or in the main navigation, depending. And also your business address. You don't have to include your business address if it's not a business that people can come to. But even if you're a farm and you know that people are sometimes coming to do pickups or something, it's nice to have the address there where it's easy to find. That also can help with SEO, including that location information so that search engines know where you're located and when to show your business in the search results. Um, if you have a business that is a brick and mortar location, or you have a farm stand, or people are coming to pick up their CSA at your farm, if people are regularly coming to your business, it can be helpful to use a map integration to show a map of where the business is located instead of just the address, or make the address clickable so they can, you know, open it in Google Maps. I also think it can be helpful to include the response time of what people can expect. So in this example, you know, maybe beneath the paragraph about customers being your top priority, they could add a line that says something like, we typically respond within 3 business days, so that people know. For small businesses, you often have an endless to-do list, right? So people know what to expect. If it's not going to be a, we'll get back to you the same day sort of a situation.
So there are some things you can do to improve the user experience that we've been talking about and conversion rates, which is people doing what you want them to do, but usually making a sale or showing up or signing up for something. So what we talked about before is simplifying the navigation. So clear labels so people know where they're going, what they're going to see when they get there. So um, and limiting the drop down menus to also avoid overwhelming users. So if there are different bits of information that could be on one page together and fit under one category, we'd encourage you to do that. And if you need help or support with that, I would definitely like outsource to either an agency that does this or just your family and friends. Be like, hey, does this make sense? Like, if you came to my site, you saw this, like, where would you go to find X? That can be a really great practice to do. And then this is not something we do a ton, but you can include a search bar um, for easy access if someone's looking for something. But I would say focusing on the clarity of the navigation titles is super important. Um, the Verdant Hollow is this top example that we have, and they do a ton of things. They do events and they have farm stays, they have a store, they have like visiting options and a creamery. Like they've got so much going on. But the way that it's sectioned is really clear and makes sense. And to me, it's not overwhelming, which is a great way to be. Same with what's the deal is below that. It's very clearly laid out the menu, story, events, hiring, more. Um, yeah, those are some good examples. Mobile optimization. This one can be um, easy to forget about if it's not on your checklist. Is you've designed an awesome website for desktop, and usually you're designing it on a computer, um, and forgetting to see what that looks like on a phone, and making sure. I'm pretty sure every website platform these days gives you the option to see the mobile view. Would you say that's right, Christina?
Yeah, I think so.
Everyone does that now. So that used to be something that was kind of unique, but now it's not unique. So being able to test it both ways so that like the words aren't all crazy looking and like images aren't split. The information is grouped accordingly. So even like how the navigation works, does that all make sense? And testing that. And also avoiding pop-ups or things that like really wouldn't make sense on a mobile device. Um, yeah, so platforms make it easy for you to do this. It's just remembering to go through. And then as you have a website for a longer time and maybe you're adding things, making sure this is another task that you put on there. Like when I add something to the website, did this mess up the experience? Like let's test it. Um, yeah, a
Really.
lot of people are on their phones.
Yeah, I we should have pulled a stat for this page, but it's definitely more than half, and I think it's
Mhm.
often depends on the business, but for businesses like most of our customers, it's probably at least like 75% of website visits are on a phone and not on a desktop. Um, but because we usually create the sites on our desktops, we or our laptops or whatever, um, we don't always think about that mobile view. So really, anytime you make a change on your site, just check the mobile view before you save it and publish it. Cool. Oh, wait, actually, Emily, you keep going.
Yeah, for sure. Other things, optimizing image sizes. So this one usually is clear once you've kind of tested things. If and a lot of sites will kind of flag like if this image is just like way too big. But another way to test this is just like uploading, testing the site, whatever, making sure that the image is able to load. Sometimes people have a video in the background of their home page, and that can get really tricky with some load times. Um, so it's really kind of an experimentation thing. Intuitive CTA, so making sure they're to the point, people know what they're going to come to. So like shop now, and also taking an action. So if it's like download this resource, etc. And placing things, the CTAs where people naturally look and distinguishing them. So often people will do this with something like a button that's like a color that stands out. So like in this example on the iPad, that order now button, even though I can't really read that text, I know that's what that's going to be. And it's in yellow. I can click it. I know where I'm going to go. And then clear and accurate photos. So photos that relate to your business or not just like a stock photo, not something that's a little like random. You want your products or your people represented, um, and creating an expectation around that.
I think we cannot drive home the photo point enough. It's really tempting to use stock photos, but they almost never do an accurate job of describing your business, and it's harder to find them that feel cohesive. I know it can be expensive, but we always recommend a photo shoot when you're, starting a business or building out a new website so that you can have great photos that represent your business. All right. So this section, we're chatting a bit about search engine optimization. We do have a whole webinar that's at least an hour long just about SEO that's on our YouTube page or channel. So if you want to dig into this, feel free to look there. But a few big things to keep an eye out for when you're building a site when it comes to SEO. The first one is keyword optimization. One of the biggest things that search engines do is look on your site to see what you're talking about so that they can determine where you should show up in the search results. So if you are a jam business in Marshall, Michigan, you want to make sure that that is super, super clear. The things that people would search for to find you might be like specific types of jam or local jam, Marshall, Michigan, those sorts of things. You want to make sure that those keywords are in the headers on your site, in the body copy, and also in the metadata, which is this meta descriptions and titles. I'll talk about that in a minute. And you also want to avoid what we refer to as keyword stuffing in the SEO world, which is just putting keywords in all over the place. You really want to focus on writing content that's written well for humans to read. It feels like it was written by a human, it's conversational. It should just include those keywords in there and then provide the information that users are actually looking for. So if somebody's searching for, I forget what I said, apple butter, some sort of jam was the example I used. What are they looking for? They want to know that you sell it and they want to know where to buy it, and a really great description of what it is. So making sure you provide that information that people are looking for. Um, One of the back end pieces of SEO that you should always do whenever you create a new website is to optimize the meta descriptions and the titles, sometimes referred to as SEO title in this screenshot from the back end of Squarespace, sometimes referred to as a title tag. I've seen it referred to as page title in different platforms. But typically these are going to be wherever the SEO settings for your website are on the back end. So in this screenshot, you can see this is the page settings window within Squarespace. So if you're looking at all the pages on your site, there's a little settings wheel. If you click on it, you can go to the page settings and then down to SEO. Most platforms operate relatively similarly. And if you can't figure it out, just Google how to edit title tags on whatever platform and you'll surely find the instructions. So you want your title to be like under 60, 65 characters. This one's 66, which I think is still okay. And that's going to make sure the whole thing will show up in the search results. The title tag is in this screenshot over here. I love that Squarespace does this. It shows you how it shows up in the search results so you know what you're putting in. But the title tag is going to be the blue text that you would click on in the search results. It also shows up in the tab of your browser. And you want to make sure you have some keywords in there and that you're describing what the service or product or whatever it is, whatever that page is about. And then the description, the meta description in Squarespace, they call it the SEO description. That can be, more like 150 characters long. And that's going to be the gray text that's like a little paragraph in the search results. And that really I think of as like the sales pitch for your page, why somebody should come to your page. So make sure to always add those things when you're building a new site or trying to update your site. And then also making sure you add alt text for all of the images. This screenshot down at the bottom is also the Squarespace backend, and you can see it says image alt text and then a description. Pretty much every website platform where you edit your images will have a space for alt text, and that is used for accessibility. So people who navigate with a screen reader and can't see the images, they're going to get that description read to them. And it's also helpful for SEO to give some more context to your site. So that was a super quick deep dive, shallow dive on SEO. There's tons to know, but those are the basics when you're building a new site. Ooh, I have another slide. Sorry. Sweet. These are, getting, I would say like this is the 102 level lesson. So internal linking is also super important. This is the links that help people navigate between all of the different pages on your website. So you want to make sure that every single page of your site has those CTAs to drive people to other sections of the site, that it links information. If you're talking about your team on your About Us page and you have a separate team page, link to that team page from there. Really just making sure that all of your pages are linking to one another. That's really helpful both for users navigating your site and for SEO. The next one is having some sort of backlink strategy. So not only is what the information on your website important for SEO, also other websites linking to your website, which is called a backlink, is also important. So you want to ask, the people who stock your products in their shelves or partners to link to your website from theirs. And then finally, there are tons and tons of tools out there for SEO, for analytics. You can use something like Google Analytics. A lot of website platforms have their own analytics built in. They're usually much more simplified than using something like Google Analytics. So that would be for looking at, traffic on your site, bounce rates, user behavior, what people are doing when they're on your site, how they're getting there, all of that good stuff. And then another platform we really like is called SEMrush. They do have a free version, which works decently well if you're just trying to manage things for your own business. And that is a SEO specific platform for finding keywords and seeing what you rank for and things like that. So as we said, there's lots more in our full webinar. I know we are slightly over time, but we just have a few more slides to go through. If anyone needs to leave, this will get sent out after the fact. So you can always watch the end of the video.
Yes. We just have a couple common questions that people ask or just common things that come up. So, common mistakes small businesses make, unclear on the location or service area, like we talked about. Simple, put that on the homepage. Where do you serve? A cluttered design, so that looks like that wild navigation with 50 tabs or just kind of funky directions that people can't really understand, or just images everywhere, or text that isn't broken up. Slow load time, so those are those huge images or videos that haven't been tested and take a long time to load. And then lack of clear CTAs, so people coming to your site and not really knowing the next step because you haven't given them one.
People ask us all the time how often you should update your website content. It depends a lot on your business, but I usually think that the kind of core content, your blogs, your seasonal offerings, should be updated about every few months or as often as changes are made. So if you have like a monthly menu that changes every month you should be updating your menu on your website. If you're a farm and you mostly kind of have your products are available in the same places all season long, you're going to the same markets and such, you can kind of get away with updating like at the beginning of the season and at the end of the season. But really, you want to make sure the information is updated and accurate is the biggest thing. So as often as your business is shifting, you want to make sure you're updating your website content. And then I typically recommend that businesses, whenever their slow season is throughout the year, that they take some time during that period to review their static pages. So if winter slows down for you a lot every winter, take some time to read through every page on your website and make sure everything is still accurate.
And this one's great for Christina too, because she works with a lot of the website platforms. But basic tool, like some user-friendly website building tools, Squarespace and Shopify are awesome. Their user experience is really, really awesome. Christina, do you want to mention anything about that?
I can do it. It's good.
Yeah.
I, me and the other members of my team spend a lot of time building websites on all sorts of different platforms. And the two most common ones we use are Squarespace and Shopify. If you're looking to share information about your business, Squarespace is amazing, super easy to use. I think it's really easy to create beautiful designs in there and manage as well. They have a pretty solid e-commerce platform as well. But if people are shipping a lot of products or have a lot of products, more than like 20 to 30 products, I usually recommend Shopify. Um, it is really a platform for e-commerce. It's not really a place to build just an informational website, but they have really good shipping discounts, which is nice. It's very easy to use, I think. Every e-commerce site we've built on Shopify, people have been super happy with Shopify. And then not listed in here, but if you are a farm, there are a ton of farm specific e-commerce platforms out there. We do have a guide to farm e-commerce platforms that's coming out soon. Probably in Q1, fingers crossed. But it's a partnership with MIFMA, the Michigan Farmers Market Association, and you can on our website sign up to get it when it is released.
I'll put that link in the YouTube notes for this and include it in a follow-up email as well.
So that's all we have for you. We're TLD. We have a whole bunch of webinars on our YouTube channel. We're finalizing the schedule for next year right now, but we'll have one webinar every quarter next year. And this is what we do all day, every day. So if you are trying to build a website on your own and feel overwhelmed, we are always here to help you out. You can reach out or learn more about what we do at localfoodmarketing.com.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks
See you
for being
soon.
here.